Have you ever realized that perhaps the greatest secret to transforming your life isn't where most people look? That maybe the key to a prosperous, abundant, and meaningful existence isn't hidden in complex formulas, expensive courses, or modern theories, but in something that has always been within your reach? Many people spend their entire lives searching for answers in elaborate methods, success gurus, or business books that promise instant wealth. But almost no one looks to the oldest and most powerful source of all, one that revealed centuries ago the principles that remain the foundation of all true prosperity. And I'm not talking about just any manual. I'm talking about the Bible, a book that is not merely religious but a true code of wisdom, a strategy for life, a winning mindset, and principles that withstand the test of time, crossing generations and remaining valid today for anyone who chooses to live by them. But there's a problem. Most people don't read the Bible with the right perspective. They fail to see that it's not just history. It's a collection of mental maps, spiritual laws, and the path to move from scarcity to abundance. For a long time, people tried to convince us that God glorifies poverty, that being humble means living with nothing, without dreams or ambition, accepting life's crumbs as if that were spiritual nobility. But that is one of the greatest distortions ever preached to the human heart. God never said that prospering is a sin. God never said that wealth is a curse. What he always condemned is idolatry, unhealthy attachment, loving money more than loving the Creator, because money itself isn't the problem. It's just a tool in the hands of those who choose to use it to build or to destroy. Look at Joseph in Egypt, sold, betrayed, humiliated. He could have succumbed to bitterness, but he chose to remain faithful, upright, and visionary. In the end, he was placed as the second most powerful man in that nation, because God is a God who honors processes but also rewards results. And this is where many people get lost. They want blessings without processes, results without preparation, harvests without planting. But everything in life is the fruit of principles, and those principles don't change. They are fulfilled in the lives of those who choose to obey them. Even Napoleon Hill, when he studied the most successful people in history, realized that the secret wasn't in magical formulas, but in eternal principles that, unbeknownst to him, were already written centuries ago in the scriptures. When he said that wealth begins in the mind, he was merely confirming what Proverbs already taught. As a man thinks in his heart, so is he. In other words, you will never live beyond what you believe you're capable of, and you will never achieve beyond what your mind allows you to envision. If you see yourself as small, you'll act small. If you believe you have no value, you'll treat yourself as worthless. But if you understand that you were created for a greater purpose, you begin to walk with a different posture, a different energy, a different strength that attracts opportunities and opens doors. The problem is that many think the Bible is a winning lottery ticket that will suddenly fall from the sky, when in reality, it's a map. And maps don't deliver the destination without movement. They point the way, but you have to decide to walk. Jesus never taught passivity. He didn't say to sit still and wait for everything to fall ready-made from heaven. He said, seek, ask, knock. He used action verbs because true faith is faith in motion, faith that transforms into action. And this is where the connection between spirituality and practice becomes even clearer. Faith without works is dead, and the most ardent desires only become reality when paired with persistent and courageous action. You can pray every day for multiplication, but if you're not faithful with the little you have, if you don't have the courage to act on what's already in your hands, nothing changes. God never blesses inertia, but he always honors effort aligned with faith. The parable of the talents makes this clear. Those who multiplied what they had received more, but the one who buried what he was given was rebuked. This shows that the problem was never having little, but doing nothing with the little you've received. This is so relevant that even Napoleon Hill called it mental inertia. That state of endlessly waiting for life to change without changing anything within yourself, without changing habits, without changing attitudes, without planting the seeds that could yield a new harvest. The difference between those who prosper and those who only dream lies in the decision to obey principles, because principles demand consistency, courage, discipline, and the resolve to get up even when you don't feel like it. Excellence doesn't come by chance. Prosperity doesn't come from luck. Transformation isn't magic. It's all the fruit of sowing, preparation, and alignment between faith and action. So, if you're waiting for the life of your dreams to be handed to you on a silver platter, it's time to wake up to a powerful truth. The life of your dreams doesn't arrive. It's built, brick by brick, decision by decision, choice by choice. And the good news is that God has already placed within you everything you need for this. Your mind, your faith, your ability to learn, create, reinvent yourself, and transform not only your reality, but also the reality of everyone around you. But it's up to you to decide whether you'll use these tools or bury what you've been given, because heaven has already released the resources. Now, it's your action that determines how much will flourish. There's one detail that separates those who move forward from those who stay behind: the courage to change your mind. Renewing your mind is hard work, it's painful, it's like uprooting old roots that have been there for years. But only those with the courage to break free from them can experience the new life God promised. Romans 12:2 says, "Be transformed by the renewing of your mind," which means replacing defeatist thoughts with visions of victory, abandoning a victim mentality, and adopting the posture of someone called to rule. This is where many give up because it hurts, it's uncomfortable, it shakes everything that seemed stable. But it's also where those who persist make the leap that changes the game, because the pain of change is always less than the pain of staying stuck in a place that leads nowhere. And when you understand your purpose, when you have clarity of vision, you stop wasting energy on distractions and start directing every step toward what truly matters. Proverbs says, "Where there is no vision, the people perish." And that's exactly why so many get lost along the way. It's not a lack of talent or opportunity, it's a lack of vision. Without knowing where you're going, any wind will carry you away. But when something is burning inside you, when you have a reason that makes you get up even on the hardest days, you gain the strength to keep going and the wisdom to say no to anything that doesn't align with your mission. And that's why, if you're here, listening to this until the end, it's because there's a hunger inside you for something greater, a calling pushing you beyond mediocrity. And that calling won't be silenced until you decide to rise and live what you were created for. So, if this message has stirred your heart, if you feel it has opened your eyes to something new, I invite you now to take a step of commitment. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone you know also needs to hear this truth. Because more than engagement, this is an act of decision. It's you saying to yourself, "I won't live like before anymore. I've decided to renew my mind, align my faith with my actions, and build the abundant life God has already dreamed for me." Jesus never got lost in what others thought or said about him because he had clarity of purpose. He didn't seek applause, wasn't swayed by criticism, and wasn't influenced by human recognition. He knew where he was going and walked with conviction, guided by an internal compass. This is the mindset you need to develop now, not living by what others say about you, but by what God has already declared over you. Many people spend their entire lives trying to please others, seeking validation, afraid of making mistakes. But the secret to true prosperity lies in aligning your life with the calling already planted within you. Purpose without action is frustration. Vision without movement is illusion. And delaying what needs to be done is wasting precious time, because the harvest doesn't come to those who wait. It comes to those who plant. The question you need to ask yourself now is simple. What have you done with the talents, gifts, and opportunities you've received? How many times has fear paralyzed you? How many times have you buried what could have been multiplied? The servant who hid his talent wasn't punished for having little. He was punished for not acting, and this is a truth few accept. Heaven multiplies action, not inertia. Nothing will ever be 100% perfect. The perfect moment is the one you decide to make happen. The difference between those who succeed and those who fall behind lies in one step. Taking that step, even with fear, even without guarantees, even without the ideal scenario. It's this movement that turns intention into manifestation, dreams into reality, plans into results. Faith without action is just a beautiful wish, but faith with action moves mountains, transforms lives, and creates legacies. Dreaming big isn't arrogance, prospering isn't sin, and multiplying talents isn't greed. When aligned with a greater purpose, all of this is obedience. But this is where many stumble. Excellence requires effort, attention, repetition, and persistence, even when no one is watching. Most people want the results but not the price, want to reap without planting, want to win without discipline. Colossians 3:23 teaches, "Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human masters." This means your effort doesn't depend on recognition, applause, or what others think. Self-discipline is the cornerstone of all true achievement. Napoleon Hill said that every great empire, whether financial, emotional, or spiritual, begins with mastering your own thoughts. Before you can win externally, you must win internally. The mind is the field, discipline is the irrigation, and without it, nothing grows. Everyone desires, everyone dreams, but few endure the daily effort, few stay consistent when no one is watching. God isn't a magician. He entrusts responsibilities to those who are prepared. Jesus prepared before acting. He fasted, prayed, sought the Father. Manifestation requires a foundation. Look at Daniel, a young exile surrounded by luxury and distractions. Yet he chose discipline and consistency over convenience and appearances. He became an advisor to kings, a reference even in foreign territory. That wasn't luck. It was principle. The world rewards those who stay steadfast, not those who start well and give up. When the excitement fades and no one applauds, when silence becomes your audience, that's when your consistency is tested. God never promised ease, but He promised His presence, and those who have His presence carry enough strength to endure difficult processes. Pain always carries a seed of benefit, as Romans 8:28 teaches, and that seed is revealed to those who persist. Joseph faced injustices, was imprisoned, forgotten, but he held on to vision and faith. He didn't seek revenge, he multiplied, forgave, and saved lives. Resilience is falling 7 times and rising 8, feeling fear and moving forward, continuing to build even when everything seems to crumble. Fierce persistence is the unquenchable strength, the conviction that endures even without immediate results. You need to understand this. God doesn't need many to start something great. He needs someone available. That someone might be you, and everything He's already planted within you is waiting for one thing: your action. True prosperity isn't a prize. It's the result of obeying principles with faith, action, and consistency. When you act this way, your mind aligns, your heart strengthens, your hands become productive, and your life begins to bear fruit that blesses you and everyone around you. Discipline, excellence, and persistence are the pillars of true prosperity. And now we need to look at an even more powerful element: your identity, the way you see yourself. It's futile to seek abundance if you still see yourself as small, to declare promises if deep down you don't believe you're worthy of them. The mind is the soil, identity is the root, and a contaminated root doesn't produce healthy fruit. Napoleon Hill said, "You are the master of your fate, the captain of your soul." This doesn't remove God from the equation. It's about taking responsibility for what He's already given you. God provides opportunities, but He expects your response. He opens doors, but you decide to walk through them. He pours out gifts, but it's up to you to choose to use them. Your life today reflects how you think, and change begins with embracing a new identity. Thinking differently isn't about repeating motivational phrases. It's about deciding who you are, standing up with purpose and conviction. Jesus knew who He was, so He wasn't shaken by persecution, praise, or others' expectations. Inner clarity transforms your mindset and separates those who thrive from those who remain in mediocrity. Many people read the Bible, pray, and seek change, but still live dominated by fear, doubt, and comparison. Without a transformed mind, nothing changes externally. Mental renewal is necessary. Faith must be combined with purpose and the certainty that you carry something great within you. Carrying something great doesn't mean ease. The greater the promise, the greater the process. The greater the process, the greater the resistance. This is where many give up. They start but stop at the first challenge. Prosperity requires consistency, emotional and spiritual maturity. Time will test your patience, circumstances will test your faith, and the world will test your consistency. But those who remain steadfast receive more than a reward. They receive authority, because there's a level of life only achieved through maturity. Persistence, clarity of identity, discipline, and purpose are the foundations that sustain greatness. And if you're ready for this, now is the moment to take the next step and fully embrace your journey of transformation. Maturity doesn't come from comfort or ease. It grows through pain, waiting, and obedience, even when it doesn't make sense. Joseph waited years to see God's promises fulfilled. David was anointed king but returned to the fields. Paul had supernatural encounters, but also faced hunger, persecution, imprisonment, stoning, and rejection. None of them gave up because they knew who they were and who had called them. And perhaps this is the word you need to hear today. Remember who you are. Not what others have said about you, not what they think, but what God has already declared about you. You're not just another person. You weren't born to merely survive, pay bills, or prove your worth to others. You were born with an eternal purpose, carrying promises written by heaven before you were even born. The prosperity God has prepared isn't to inflate your ego. It's to expand His kingdom, to lift those around you, to transform generations. But this only happens when you stop hiding behind excuses and start acting like someone who understands their identity, who doesn't need permission to prosper, who doesn't seek others' approval to move forward. You already have everything you need to live out the promises. What's missing isn't resources, it's courage. Not opportunities, it's positioning. And when you position yourself, everything changes. Creation eagerly awaits the manifestation of God's children. The world is waiting for your awakening, your resolve, your action, your light. There are people watching you, ready to be inspired, to move, to believe alongside you. Now that you're starting to remember who you are, it's time to talk about what happens when identity meets purpose, and purpose meets action. An authority is born that transforms realities. But be careful. True authority isn't about eloquent words, religious titles, or followers. It comes from within, when faith overcomes fear, when conviction becomes unshakable, even in the face of the greatest challenges. Remember David, the youngest in his family, overlooked in the fields, doubted by all. He faced a giant, not with physical strength, but with the awareness of who backed him. He knew God was with him, and that's how you need to walk. Knowing heaven supports every step you take. When faith overcomes fear, success becomes inevitable. Living with purpose means aligning every step with the mission created for you. Everything around you begins to shift. The right doors open, connections form, opportunities arise, and it's not luck, it's alignment. True prosperity begins when you stop living only for yourself and become a conduit. Everything God has placed in you, gifts, talents, experiences, lessons, scars, is a tool to impact the world. Your success isn't just yours. It's a testimony, an answer, a tool for transformation. Prospering with purpose is being a living seed in the soil of others' lives. Wealth isn't status, accumulation, or show. True wealth is having enough to invest in projects that make a difference, to build businesses, heal invisible wounds, and transform families and communities. Abraham was blessed with riches, but not for vanity. God had a plan. Joseph didn't prosper to get rich, but to save a nation. Nehemiah rebuilt walls not to show off, but to fulfill a greater purpose. When you understand this, you stop chasing money and start chasing purpose, and then money starts chasing you. Deuteronomy 8:18 says, "Remember the Lord your God, for it is He who gives you the ability to produce wealth." It's not by your strength, but by the strength He gives you, not by your ability, but by alignment with the source of all power. Napoleon Hill called this an alliance with the infinite, being in tune with the purpose for which you were created. When you align with that purpose, everything flows, grows, and bears fruit. You don't fight against the universe, you cooperate with it. But remember, the greater the purpose, the greater the responsibility. You can't desire great achievements if you're not willing to become great within. God doesn't sustain a calling on a weak character. Lasting prosperity is built with faith, courage, and sacrifice. If you don't yet see results, that's okay. The process begins in the unseen, in secret, on the days when no one applauds. Every sacrifice is a seed. Every late-night effort is preparation. Every silent tear is fertilizer for the future. You're not behind. You're being trained. Today's pain prepares tomorrow's strength. Everything you've heard isn't just motivation, it's a calling. You're not here by accident, not born to live on autopilot. There's greatness within you, a mission only you can fulfill. As long as you don't rise to live with courage, the world remains deprived of what only you can offer. The Bible isn't a book of restrictions, it's a manual of strategies, a map to reach your destination with purpose and fulfillment. Napoleon Hill translated spiritual principles into practice. Prosperity isn't chance, it's the result of faith, purpose, and consistent action. Want to win? Decide today. Move from intention to execution. Those who change the game are those who act, even with fear, even when not fully ready. Praying for a harvest isn't enough if you don't plant. Asking for open doors is pointless if you don't walk through them. Faith without works is dead. Vision without movement is illusion. Purpose without practice becomes frustration. Rise up, not just to gain, but to serve. Your life is a seed. Your story can set others free. Your prosperity can bless generations. And when you see your business thriving, your family grounded, your mind aligned, your heart at peace, you'll look back and realize every step, every late night, every tough choice was worth it. You chose not to live like the majority, decided to apply what few apply, refused to be a victim, refused to live below what God planned, and believed when everything told you to give up. Napoleon Hill said, "The only real limitation is the one a man imposes on himself." The Bible cancels every limitation. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Philippians 4:13. You can overcome inner poverty, break cycles of scarcity, restore your story, prosper without corruption, grow without losing yourself, and shine without dimming others. And remember, true wealth isn't just what you have, but what you do with what you have. It's who you become, the legacy you leave, the faith you hold, even when others doubt. If this message has impacted you, leave a like, subscribe, turn on notifications, share it, and write the word purpose in the comments. When you declare it, you activate it. It's time to live abundantly.